The missile on that launcher is longer than a city bus. White. Silent. Pointed at a 40-degree angle toward a sky that has no idea what's about to happen. Master Sergeant Cole is lying flat on a ridge of black volcanic rock in the Zagros Mountains, looking down at it through the dark. He has been watching it for 40 minutes. He knows the length of it, the weight of it, the exact gap between the hydraulic struts underneath it. He knows where the charges go. What he did not know, what nobody in the intelligence package told him, is that the Iranians already knew he was coming. This is the story of what happened next. Before we begin into it, kindly like, share and subscribe for updates. Before we go back to that ridge, you need to understand what that launcher actually represents. Iran's missile arsenal is not a regional nuisance. According to Iran Watch and U.S. Central Command assessments, before the 2026 conflict began, Iran possessed over 3,000 ballistic missiles, the largest and most diverse stockpile in the entire Middle East. That number does not include cruise missiles. It does not include drones. And hidden deep inside that arsenal are the weapons that make American missile defense planners wake up at 3 a.m., Iran's Fateh series missiles, the weapons Tehran has publicly and repeatedly called hypersonic. Here is what that word actually means. The Fateh 1, unveiled by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in June 2023, is not a hypersonic glide vehicle in the way Russia or China designs them. What it is, according to the International Institute for Strategic Studies, is something arguably more practical, a medium-range ballistic missile with a maneuvering re-entry vehicle, a warhead that fires its own small rocket motor during the terminal descent phase, allowing it to shift course at extreme speeds while already falling toward its target. Iranian officials claim it reaches Mach 13 to Mach 15. Independent analysts put that figure in dispute, but they agree on the operational effect. When that warhead starts maneuvering at hypersonic speeds in the last seconds of flight, systems like Patriot and Arrow 3 face a tracking problem that shrinks their engagement window to almost nothing. The Fateh 2, unveiled months later, is described by Tehran as capable of striking targets 1,400 kilometers away. That range puts every U.S. base in the Gulf within reach. Every carrier strike group within reach. Every American military installation from Bahrain to Qatar to the desert bases of eastern Saudi Arabia, all of it, within reach of a system that can change direction while falling at 15 times the speed of sound. This is what Cole is looking at from that ridge. Not just a missile. A problem that, if it fires, every layer of American missile defense has to solve in real time. The mission is to ensure it never fires. March 19, 2026. 8 Delta Force operators cross the Iraqi border at altitude, parachutes open above the darkness, gliding silently for 30 minutes across a frontier that detects nothing. No radar hit. No thermal flag. No radio intercept. They cross into Iranian airspace the way water crosses a membrane, invisibly. They walk 11 kilometers through broken mountain terrain before reaching the ridge. Nobody speaks during the approach. There is nothing to say. Staff Sergeant Okafor has her demolitions kit laid out and sorted before they stop moving, charges arranged by target, detonators in a separate pouch, the placement sequence memorized and rememorized across 6 hours of movement. 3 launchers in the valley below. 60 meters apart. Camouflage netting draped over their outlines in a gesture that does nothing against the thermal imaging overhead. The plan is 14 minutes for all 3. The patrol rotation has held for 40 minutes of observation. 1 guard per circuit. Predictable. Clockwork. Until 2:31 a.m. The guard who breaks the pattern is young. Cole reads it in his movement before he can read the reason for it, the body language of someone who has made an unscheduled decision. The figure peels away from the established patrol route, angles toward the eastern ridge base, and walks without urgency toward the rock face directly below Cole's position. No one moves. The guard reaches the base of the ridge and stops. 30 meters below the team. Close enough that Cole can hear boot leather shifting on loose stone. 20 seconds. The pause of a person whose mind is somewhere else entirely. Then he moves south, away from the team. Cole exhales. Checks his watch. 4 minutes lost. The placement window has just collapsed from 14 minutes to 9. 2 taps on Okafor's shoulder. Adjust. She is already recalculating. The team descends at 2:34 a.m. 4 operators down the western face. Cole holds the high position. The last pair pushes east to cover the access road connecting the launcher park to the garrison compound 400 meters up the valley. Okafor reaches the first platform at 2:38 a.m. She goes in under the left side of the launcher, into the gap between the hydraulic leveling struts, the access point the targeting package identified as the most effective placement location. She works entirely by touch. Training memory, not conscious thought. 45 seconds for the first charge. Moving to the second mounting point. 1 click in her earpiece. Vehicle approaching. The headlights appear 6 seconds later. A light utility truck from the garrison compound, covering 400 meters in under 90 seconds. It stops at the launcher park entrance. 3 figures climb out. Not patrol rotation. Command visit. Someone in the garrison compound decided to inspect the launcher park at 2:39 in the morning. Cole watches from the ridge. His team has 2 seconds of options. There is only one that doesn't end the mission before the objective is reached. He transmits a single word. Hold. Okafor presses flat against the undercarriage strut. The 3 figures walk directly toward the platform she is lying under. Boots on gravel. Voices in Farsi. Unhurried. One officer walks the length of the platform. Another crouches near the rear axle with a flashlight. The beam sweeps left. Sweeps right. Goes out. They walk back to the truck without pausing. Engine starts. Headlights recede up the access road. The garrison goes quiet again in 40 seconds. Okafor doesn't wait for a signal. She is already reaching for the second charge. But the guard who broke pattern 20 minutes ago is returning now, walking back along the ridge base from the south. His route carries him within arm's reach of the position where Sergeant Vasquez is lying flat against the rock, charge kit open beside him. No time to relocate. Vasquez makes the choice in the half-second before the guard's flashlight sweeps toward him. 1 controlled roll left. Taking the kit with him. Pressing into a shadow pocket between 2 boulders that the beam reaches but cannot penetrate. The light passes 6 inches from his boot. Holds for 2 seconds. Sweeps away toward the launcher park. The guard walks on without breaking stride. The window is not gone yet. But it is borrowed. Okafor finishes the first launcher at 2:47 a.m. 2 charges in position. She is moving to the second platform before the detonator wire is fully secured. The second launcher is different. The platform sits lower. The strut spacing is tighter. The access point is 12 inches narrower than the first. She goes in on her back, shoulders scraping metal, working in a space that offers no room to accelerate. The first charge takes 90 seconds instead of 45. She reaches for the second. At 2:51 a.m., every light in the garrison compound comes on simultaneously. Floodlights. Perimeter lights. Vehicle bay doors opening. Engine starting immediately. This was not a coincidence. Check at 2:39 a.m. Someone in that compound already had a reason to look. The surprise was not that a U.S. team was in the valley. The surprise is that they hadn't been found yet. Cole transmits 2 words. Accelerate. All elements. This is now a race with an outcome nobody has calculated because calculating it means accepting what the numbers say. Vasquez abandons the approach to the third launcher and moves to cover the access road. The eastern element pulls back toward the extraction corridor. 2 operators descend the western ridge face at speed, no longer concerned with silence, stones clattering loose with every step. Okafor gets the second charge onto the second launcher at 2:53 a.m. 40 seconds later, the quick reaction force vehicle hits the launcher park entrance. Then a personnel carrier behind it, roof-mounted weapon already traversing as it comes through the gate. 8 soldiers dismount before the vehicle fully stops. They fan into the launcher park in a practice pattern, weapons up, moving between the platforms. Cole is at Okafor's position. Third launcher. Go or no go? She looks at it. 60 meters of open ground. The QRF between her and the platform. The garrison fully mobilized. More vehicles on the access road. She looks at her kit. 1 charge. 1 detonator. No go. Her voice is flat. 2 is what we have. Cole keys the detonation frequency. The first launcher goes at 2:54 a.m. Not an explosion so much as a conversion. The fuel cell and the charge find each other in a fraction of a second. A fireball climbs 40 meters and takes the launch rail with it. The weapon that was loaded on it, the one Cole first saw from the ridge at 2:28 a.m., goes with the platform. The warhead remains intact, but the delivery system is fragments scattered across a 50-meter radius. The second detonation follows 3 seconds later. The lower platform geometry channels the blast laterally. A wide horizontal fireball rolls between the second and third launchers. The camouflage netting on the third platform catches fire. The netting burns. The platform beneath it does not. It sits in the firelight, launch rail elevated at exactly the same 40-degree angle Cole observed from the ridge. Weapon loaded. Systems untouched. The QRF soldiers scatter from the blast perimeter and regroup at the northern edge of the launcher park. Cole's team is already moving, east through the gap in the ridge's lower section that the reconnaissance package identified 6 weeks ago. Okafor with an empty kit, running at full pace. Then Vasquez, then the eastern element. Cole goes last, oriented backward, watching the fire columns shrink behind them as the gap between the team and the light grows. The third launcher stands in the glow of the burning platform. Intact. Loaded. Operational. Behind the team, Iranian voices in the launcher park. Organized. Not panicked. The QRF commander is already directing his unit toward the withdrawal route, toward the ridge gap, with the systematic efficiency of a force that trained for precisely this contingency. They know the terrain. They know the gap. They are already moving toward it. The extraction helicopter is 18 minutes out. The gap in the ridge is 12 minutes at current speed. Cole runs the arithmetic in his head and increases the pace. The ridge gap itself is a 20-meter passage through basalt rock, wide enough for 2 people side by side, walls close enough to touch, footing made of loose shale that announces every footfall to anyone listening from either end. Cole's team goes through it in 40 seconds, at 3:06 a.m., emerging onto the western slope where the terrain opens into the long descent toward the extraction zone. Behind them, the gap is empty. For now. She doesn't say anything for 3 minutes of running. Then, it was already warm when I passed it. A pause. The platform. The hydraulics. Someone ran a pre-launch cycle in the last 2 hours. Cole processes this without slowing down. A pre-launch cycle means the weapon on that platform was being prepared to fire. It was not in storage configuration. It was in launch configuration. The garrison did not conduct a surprise inspection at 2:39 a.m. because they were diligent. They did it because someone in that compound recognized the indicators of an inbound operation, and chose to accelerate their own timeline rather than reinforce their defenses. The third launcher did not need to survive the night. It needed to fire before the night happened. At 3:11 a.m., CENTCOM releases an operational statement through secure channels. Delta elements have successfully neutralized 2 Iranian hypersonic launch platforms in the Zagros mountain region. Mission objectives partially achieved. Operations ongoing. One word carries the entire weight of the statement. Partially. And then the rear element transmits, contact. Ridge gap. 3, maybe 4. The QRF found the gap faster than the arithmetic suggested. The team has 8 minutes to the extraction zone. The helicopter is 13 minutes out. No one on the team does the new calculation out loud. Everyone has already done it. The extraction zone is a flat gravel shelf on the western slope, wide enough for one helicopter, visible from 3 directions. Defensible for exactly as long as it takes to board an aircraft. They will hold the eastern approach against a QRF unit that has trained on this terrain for years. Vasquez moves to the rear position without being told. At 3:14 a.m., the mission controller aboard the orbiting aircraft transmits. Not the extraction helicopter. The other platform. The one that has been overhead since insertion, watching everything the team cannot see. The controller's voice is composed in the way controllers are trained to be composed when what they're about to say requires composure. Third launcher is moving. Northwest. Valley floor. Running without lights. The pre-launch cycle Okafor felt in the hydraulics was not preparation for a firing window. It was preparation for relocation. The garrison commander, whoever decided to inspect the launcher park at 2:39 a.m., whoever recognized the signs of an inbound operation, had a contingency that did not require holding the valley. It required moving one launcher before the demolition team could reach it. One hypersonic-capable platform. Loaded. Warm. Navigating terrain its crew has rehearsed, moving northwest through the dark without lights, going somewhere that does not appear in the intelligence package. Behind the team, the ridge gap produces its first muzzle flash at 3:16 a.m. A single shot, high and left. The ranging shot of someone who knows the target is retreating and wants the distance. Vasquez marks the position and keeps moving. The extraction helicopter is 9 minutes out. And in the valley below the smoke, the garrison commander's radio is transmitting coordinates to a receiver the mission controller cannot locate. The signal bouncing through a relay that was never in the intelligence package, to an endpoint that appears on no chart the orbiting aircraft is carrying. Here is what you need to hold in your mind as the helicopter descends toward the gravel shelf. 2 launchers are destroyed. One is gone, not destroyed, gone, moving northwest through the Iranian dark, carrying a weapon that can maneuver at hypersonic speeds during terminal descent, with a crew that has a route, a destination, and a head start. According to a CNN report from April 2, 2026, citing 3 sources familiar with U.S. intelligence assessments, approximately half of Iran's missile launchers remain intact despite 5 weeks of sustained U.S. and Israeli airstrikes. The sources described Iran as still very much poised to wreak absolute havoc throughout the entire region. The ability to shoot and move, to fire from a mobile launcher and relocate before the strike aircraft overhead can retask, is the core of how Iran has sustained this capability through the entire campaign. This is not a defeated missile force. This is a force that has been disrupted, degraded, and compressed, but not eliminated. And according to the JINSA analysis published in February 2026, Iran spent years preparing for exactly this scenario: tunnels carved into the Zagros mountains, underground launch complexes at Kermanshah, rotating mobile platforms designed to survive the kind of air campaign that has been running since February 28. The third launcher is out there right now. Its weapon is loaded. Its systems are warm. Its crew has a destination that 8 of the best-trained special operations soldiers in the world could not find in 11 kilometers of mountain approach or 40 minutes of ridge observation. And somewhere in the Zagros dark, that garrison commander's radio keeps transmitting. To a receiver nobody has located. On a frequency that isn't on any chart. The helicopter is 9 minutes out. The gravel shifts underfoot. And the launcher keeps moving northwest.